Well, good evening, and once again, welcome to a special edition of Conversations with Ed. I have been starting this show out for the last 5 years, talking about veterans and veterans benefits, and I always show off my hat and say, look, come on guys, get out to the VA hospital, start putting in your claims, start seeing what you have coming to you. And I talked, and guess what? Tonight, you're surrounded by vets. We have a panel up here. We're going to give out some good information, so I'm going to give you about 2 minutes to call all your friends and tell them, hey, Ed's on, and get your pens and your papers, because you know when you look at me, you have to write stuff down, okay? We are going to do our big ups, Peggy, Dorothy, Nurse Diane, Nurse Linda, all of you folks out there that treat me so well, and all the other guys. And we're going to keep on bringing you good information. But tonight, I want you to call every veteran or every wife that has a soldier or ex-soldier for a husband, or everybody that you know that had anything to do with the military, because for the next hour, we're going to talk about what you should be doing, what should be coming to you, what you're entitled to, and find out why you're not taking advantage of it. We have a good panel up here. I'm going to start out. We're not going to waste too much time tonight. Fun. I do have to say hi to Miss Charlene, my wife, because I do have to go home when I leave here. Okay. So we're going to introduce our panel up here. We have Michael Kane, right?
Chin.
Michael Chin, I'm sorry. Michael is a reentry specialist. He's going to explain to us what that is in a little while.
My name is Henry Mack, CW4, United States Navy, Vietnam combat veteran.
Now, he said Navy, so we're not going to hold that against him, okay? But then we have Frank Lightfoot over here. Tell him a little bit, Frank.
I'm Frank Lightfoot. I was in the U.S. Army, 94th Field Artillery Unit in Germany, as well as Fort Sill, Oklahoma.
And then over here, we have from the 2nd Cavalry. You know, we like to brag. We do like to brag, right? But we have Joe Wilson, 2nd Cavalry vets.
Yes, I have an entity called 2nd Cavalry Veterans Community. I am a United States Army veteran. My MOS was 94 Bravo, which is a cook for y'all to know what 94
I know
Bravo
94 Bravo.
You know, Army march on the stomach.
Yeah, no. Well, this is a pretty, I'll use the word astute gathering, because each one of these gentlemen has a specialty dealing with veterans and veterans issues. And I thought it would be a good idea if we could get a group together to just kind of discuss what we think and what we see what's going on, and maybe there'll be something that you didn't know about or something that you want to hear. Okay, so Mr. Chin, since you have this big reentry specialist, why don't you start us out?
Yes, once again, my name is Michael Chin. I'm working with incarcerated veterans and just incarcerated people, period. We want to try to help them to get readjusted back into society, reestablish credit, find housing, transportation, address medical issues, things along that line.
Now you said, just sort of give the idea, because a lot of people have no concept. What do you think the veterans prison population is?
Too much. I don't have any numbers. I don't have statistics. It's too high.
They had statistics out at the VA, out at McGuire, yesterday, actually today. I saw it, and I think they said that in the city of Richmond, 34% of the homeless are veterans, combat veterans. Now that's ridiculous.
It is.
Okay, that is ridiculous.
So right now in the DOC, there are over 2,300 veterans in the Department of Corrections. That's in the penitentiary. That does not include the city and regional jails.
That's in
That's
penitentiary?
Yep, in Virginia.
Okay, so now we're talking about homeless, and we're talking about locked up.
We're talking about veterans who are actually incarcerated. Sitting in institutions even as we speak.
As we speak.
Yes.
There's something wrong with that picture.
Well, I'm just going to.
No, go ahead.
One thing that this is happening all around the country. A lot of the veterans are organized inside of these institutions. Right now, the DOC has Haynesville, which is the pilot program for the veterans. And we also have Deerfield, which is the geriatric institution. At Deerfield, they're doing such a wonderful job. Out of 118 vets, 116 of them are receiving benefits. And they have been successful with filing their claims while they're incarcerated.
Outstanding.
That's the same thing I did. I filed my claims while I was incarcerated, and I found that the veterans would come up to me and ask me, and that's how I got started. because a lot of people, a lot of veterans that are incarcerated, they do live in shame, they do live, in poverty. A lot of things have happened to them, things that they won't discuss. So you have to, what I found that is I can associate with another veteran. A veteran will talk to me more readily than he will his own counselor.
Wow, yeah.
So that's how I got started as far as filing claims for other veterans, which mostly are service-connected disability claims.
And are they doing, both of you would probably know a little bit more about this, PTSD. Is that being recognized in the prison system?
Yeah, oh yeah, now it is. When you suffer from depression or anxiety, those are symptoms of PTSD.
Mm-hmm.
But now what we're seeing with a lot of new veterans is TBAP, which is traumatic brain injury. And these are two of the issues that the Wounded Warrior program addresses. They have a lot of resources that are available. The Wounded Warrior program came through the General Assembly, and it is part of Veteran Services, but it's not connected to Veteran Services. Mm-hmm. And they're all through Virginia right now, and they're working very hard to make law enforcement aware of TBI and PTSD. Mm-hmm. As a matter of fact, they're doing workshops all across Virginia. Tomorrow we're doing a workshop at the Richmond Police Academy, because I do a presentation for them also.
Oh, okay.
The Wounded Warriors is part of the Commonwealth of Virginia. Commander Paul Galante, the former POW, is the chair of Virginia Department of Veteran Affairs. In fact, we have about 800,000, close to 1 million veterans. Now, when we deal with incarcerated veterans, and we've been working with C.T. Woody, Sheriff Woody, but we also work with the federal, all of the state prisons. But in talking to a lot of the veterans in jail, I found a high percentage of them are struggling with PTSD.
That's why I asked.
Meaning, I talked to this one Navy veteran. This was during the Beirut situation. When Beirut, Lebanon, when they blew that barracks, and these military personnel was just really mangled, and he had to go in there. So as I talked to him, I found out he had PTSD, and I suggested go to the dispensary in the jail, get a diagnosis, at least get a referral to the VA. A lot of time it's just being able to connect. Connecting meaning know how to cut the red tape to get the help.
And not get so discouraged, because it almost seems like that's built into the process. Okay, let's wear them out.
Absolutely.
Okay, and you guys know what I'm talking about.
He's exactly right. But see, the thing is with the past 2 wars we've just had, we have so many troops that are coming on. Like I said, there are over 800,000 veterans in Virginia. We're the 4th largest in the nation. And not only do we have the Army, Air Force, Navy, and Marines, but we also have the National Guard.
Right.
See, the National Guard, what happens with the National Guard is they bring the National Guardsmen in from all different areas of the country, and then they deploy them. But when they come back, you know what, they disband them. So they don't have the same networking that we had. And so we're getting a lot of these, we're seeing a lot of them come into these institutions sooner. I've already seen Iraqi veterans and Afghanistan veterans incarcerated already. These kids are in their 20s. They're like 23 years old.
Well, this is something that I wanted to talk about. What this business of 18 suicides a day. Now, combat vet.
No military experience.
Okay. Combat vet?
Oh.
Right? Combat vet? Okay, so me and you, the bleeding dogs here. Okay. I cannot visualize going through combat and then coming home and killing myself.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
It doesn't make sense to me.
It makes no sense.
Okay.
Another thing is developing coping skills.
Yeah.
Knowing yourself. When we come out of combat, and most of us Vietnam combatants, when we return to the world, America was very unkind to us.
I didn't even show my uniform until probably about 10 years afterward. Okay.
So we couldn't get a job because my job was shoot to kill, 50 caliber, 30 caliber. So those skills were not marketable. But I realized that
I was smiling when you said that, because in the 90s and 80s they were marketable. Okay. But anyhow, we're supposed to be serious up here, but a little bit of levity doesn't hurt, right?
But the thing
Sensei.
is being able to cope, in other words, when you make a transition, and that's very important. We improve everything around us but ourselves. But we have to be fair to ourselves. We must know our strength and our weakness. Okay, and we have to learn how to find resources. And one of the greatest resources is talking to different veterans.
That's it.
And also go to the VA.
Yes.
We work with the VA, we work with Virginia Department of Veteran Affairs, and we work with some of the service organizations, whether it's the Virginia Department of Veteran Affairs, whether it's State Disabled American, VFW. And if we could just get the churches, if you understand one thing, every church has a veteran.
Hello, caller.
Hey, how you doing?
I'm good. How you doing?
Man, y'all talk about some stuff. I'm a vet. I'm a Vietnam vet.
Hey, welcome home, brother.
Okay, I just got about 3 years ago. I got 100%.
Congratulations.
I was in Fubai. I was in the Blue Berets. You know what, man? When I got out of the service, I didn't want to go back to the VA because I was ashamed of Vietnam, and they gave me 50%. And I just went on to college, graduate school, and I just didn't want to deal with them. But after so many years, you know, I started still having nightmares and stuff. So see, sometimes they can pay you money, it don't heal everything.
There you go.
Well, the one thing you have to understand, when you're suffering from PTSD or traumatic experience, you got to get some help. One, start with individual counseling. Then,
Well, that's what I did.
Okay.
and after you do the individual counseling, usually you have a doctor that will start giving you prescriptions to sort of help take the edge off of that situation.
Drugs.
And then once you get into group dynamic, when you're talking to your peers, it become a support group.
Man, when I got out of Vietnam, I would get up at night and walk all night. Mama didn't bother me. I would just walk. I'm from West Virginia. I just would walk and then come back home and sleep half the day.
Well, let me ask you this, caller. You sound like the help has worked for you because you.
Yeah, but see, you know, man, when I come from now, man, I was just so ashamed. I ain't want to go back over to the VA. I ain't want nothing from them. I'm going to prove you all wrong. So I went to college and graduate school, but I still was acting crazy.
Yeah. Well, how you acting now?
I'm cool.
There you go.
There you go.
Now, what about? Do you have a suggestion for some of these young men that are coming home?
Okay. A lot of vets out here on the street, they got a lot of pride. They don't want to go over to the VA, and we got to go after them. That's what I'm trying to do, man. You got a lot of vets out here so ashamed. They don't want no help.
Now, you say you're trying to go out of them. Are you working with an organization yourself?
Yeah. I just go out and get guys. One guy went to Vietnam. He wasn't getting no money. And I just told him the right people to go and talk to. There's a lot of vets out here, man, that don't even...
Have no concept. You're absolutely right.
But
go ahead, I'm sorry.
But that's the problem. When you say a veteran does not know or he's ashamed, some are fearless because they do not know how to cut the red tape to get the help.
Oh, man, you ain't lying, because the VA will reject you, and after you get to see what happens to vets when they come from the Dom and the war now, they just say, well, I ain't going to go back. That's what I did. I did that for years. I could have been getting money and stuff, but I just wanted to prove them wrong.
Well,
and I was wrong.
Caller, I'm gonna cut you now and get you listened. Give some other folks a chance to call in. But hey, listen, take down our numbers when you see them up on the screen. And get in touch. We'd like all the help we can get with this. All right?
Okay. All right.
Thank you.
And I want to add on to what he said. See, I wasn't a combat veteran. but I seen some things that I shouldn't have seen.
Yeah.
I got out of the military in 1990. It took me 22 years to go back to the VA. 22 years. I went to the VA one time. I was just like that man. I would wander around the house. I would wander from state to state. I've lived everywhere in the United States just about. I would get up in the middle of the night, pack my bag, and just go. I was so crazy my family was afraid of me. I punched out all the windows in the house in the wintertime. Tried to kill myself several times. I did so many terrible things it just doesn't make any sense. Got a big scar on my arm right here today. So I can understand exactly what he's talking about. You don't have to go to combat in order for you to see some traumatic or go through some traumatic issue with the military, because the military is designed to do one thing. They taught me to do one thing. You said this before the show started. They taught me how to kill. And that's the sole purpose. I don't care what country you go to or how far back you go. The military is designed to teach you to kill. So with that in mind, that kind of goes against the natural order of who we are. I was born and raised a Catholic. I was an altar boy, sang in the choir the whole 9 yards. I go to the military, that went in conflict with who I was, of what the natural, my nature of what it was. And I see that a lot now with a lot of the veterans, you know what I mean? Their backgrounds, it just goes against the nature and it screws them up. But with the PTSD, the thing with the PTSD is, when I got locked up this last time, my mother said, Joe, you have to forgive yourself. You have to start to forgive in order for you to heal. And see, a lot of times what we can't do is we can't forgive. We can't forgive the guilt, like I said, the shame, some of the things that people have seen and been ordered to do. We just don't want to forgive ourselves. And once we start that process of forgiving, we are able to heal. We are able to heal. I have a personality disorder. The VA diagnosed me with a personality disorder, meaning that I don't care. It basically states that I really don't care one way or another. I bounce back real fast. But I explained to him, I said, first of all, you can't tell me what I feel. You can't tell me how long I'm going to feel it. So you can't let, even these doctors, you can't let them dictate to you what your emotional state is. Only you know how you feel. Those people work for us. I don't work for them, they work for me. Their job is to give me the best possible care that they can. And if you're not getting it, then you complain. You write letters. Like this gentleman said, you form peer groups. You do these different things to get your way because things have to change, you know. A lot of people don't really have a vested interest in my wellness or my well-being, because there's money to be made as long as I'm sick.
Well, one thing you have to come to grip with, I spent about 4 or 5 combat tours, 65, 66, 67. And there's a saturation point. Once you reach a certain point, you got to move on.
Yeah.
You can't absorb anymore. Once you accept that you have a problem, you pursue every means to deal with that problem. A lot of time, the clinician can help get you through that problem, but it's up to you.
Well, another part of that problem is that you don't recognize that you have a problem. You see, that's part of the problem. Now, my situation was, I came home in '62. Now we were over there in '61. You military. We don't have. Nobody was there in '61. No.
Setting the stage.
But my problem was when I came home. I was in Special Forces. Okay, 101st Airborne, 7th Special Forces. So there's a certain amount of training that goes into that, and it doesn't go away when you come out. Okay?
And that's true because you got that mental toughness, that Rambo style or whatever. But once you come out, you're not half the man you used to be, but you don't want to accept it.
Well, I found out I was, and on the third one, the judge said, you better go see somebody before we lock you up.
That's another problem, too, with the judicial system. See, that, like you said, in Haynesville, they do have that program that they just started. But the actual judicial system needs to be aware of this problem, too. The courts, they don't really consider PTSD. They don't consider any other traumatic brain injuries, any stress or anything like that. And I think we need to intervene on people's behalf, because this is a real problem.
But that's what's going on now. I don't know if it's the bill. It was a bill that was passed. I can't remember. It's like the 1691 or 1491. Maybe you've heard of it. But it allows a veteran, if you commit a nonviolent felony, then instead of going to penitentiary, you go to a program. And the only place that they're really practicing is down in Tidewater here in Hampton. But however, it's a law in the Commonwealth of Virginia. any veteran can apply this. And I do a lot of reentry councils. I was at the DOC Future Search Conference. I do a lot. I sit down and I talk to a lot of people about what's going on, and I try to stay abreast of what's really going on. And so I asked the question. I said, okay, you know, I'm a felon many times over, and I said, even with the history that I have, I said, if I catch a nonviolent case right now as a veteran, would I grandfather in? Would I qualify? They said exactly. It's a yes.
Isn't that amazing?
Yes. So see, this is something that a lot of people, a lot of veterans don't know. Not saying that you should go out there and commit a nonviolent felony. Don't get me wrong, but the Commonwealth of Virginia, I believe, this is my opinion, my personal opinion, that they are doing a lot. The governor is doing a lot. The DOC is doing a lot. The Wounded Warrior, the VA, a lot of these organizations and agencies are working together. I mean, really working together to recognize and address this problem.
Might I add, since this new administration came in,
Right.
okay, been a lot of changes,
Because it was-
and a lot of positive changes since
Absolutely.
they came in.
It's, I think
Well,
that
the governor
it's
is a
inevitable.
veteran also.
Yeah, yeah.
And he has a daughter that served in the Middle East. The one thing, we have resources and contact. Commander Paul Galante, he represents the Commonwealth of Virginia. Now, if they have the program in the Tidewater area, why can't we
Get it up here.
get it up here? Talk to him, or visit Tidewater to see what the program is about, how we can tailor a program that would fit our needs. And then the General Assembly here, we can talk to them, we can talk to the Commonwealth attorneys, we can talk to the sheriffs and even the state. We have to advocate, educate, and participate. You have to have those three dimensions.
Well, I think, as you were saying, that the awareness factor and the understanding factor have come into play because of all of the new things. The things that I saw out at McGuire yesterday with the DAV and the VFW and the programs and things that are offered. I mean, you young guys who are coming out now are cheating yourselves if you do not at least go and ask somebody. And along with that, I would make a suggestion to you, and this is again from personal experience, get one of the military organizations to back you up. Don't try to do it yourself. That's the red tape cutter.
That's right.
That's what I wanted to speak on. A lot of stuff. First of all, I'd like to applaud President Obama, you know, for affording us all these programs. And you're exactly right. You know, these guys need to get out here and jump on these claims and whatever the government got out there for you, because I was on a need-to-know basis. All you got to do is go out there and seek help. That's what I did. I networked with these guys right here on this panel and a few other veterans, you know, and I'm starting to get, you know, the things that I had coming to me.
Oh yeah, and
They need to get out there and do the same.
and taking advantage, especially
Before this
again,
administration
is
is
right,
gone.
and they start pulling
because if
stuff back.
Obama don't get reelected, it might get ugly.
But now, the key, and again, I keep emphasizing this with these young guys coming home, you have so many benefits that are available to you, it's almost like a giveaway. Okay, I mean, with the college, when I went on the GI Bill, I got $432 a month. What did you say it's up to now?
well, it's up to what, $14.73. If you want to talk about the program, or you want me to talk about the program? The retraining program?
Oh,
Yes,
somebody-
go ahead.
well, hold it 1 second, we'll see what this question is here. Hello, caller?
Hi, good evening. There's so much information being said tonight, it's hard to even ask a question because I'm so busy listening. But I do have one, and that concerns the women of the military. I don't see any up there with you, Ed, and I'm wondering, are there specific programs for them, or do they just get grouped in with the men?
Good question, very good question,
Very good
caller. Thank you.
question,
Okay.
and I really appreciate you making that call.
You see you
And-
talking to the phone.
We are, thank you. You are absolutely right, but there are women programs. Coming out of Vietnam, with the duration of that war, a lot of men were killed, no babies made. The Defense Department decided to make up its manpower, its requirement through females. And some females have been abused.
Quite a few.
Some of them are struggling with post-traumatic stress, and some have gone into combat 2 and 3 times. In Vietnam, we had a 6-month turnaround or 8 months, whereas the combat duration now is 13 months, and I've talked to some of the young guns have been involved 3 to 4 times in combat.
And that's what's burning them out, right?
But if you can give me a call, I can pass some information on for as females and kind of move you in the right direction. The VA has a good program. They have a women program. They have programs if you've been, if you have PTSD or you've been sexually traumatized, you can go to a program and really work to get your life turned around. And one other thing I like to say, once you get your benefits, lay out a plan. And this is one of the things Mike Chin, working with the reentry program, he tried to go from A to Z. How you budget your money, how you get your housing, how you get your treatments, how you follow up on your appointments, and understand body. In order to be healthy, you have to diet, eat properly, you have to exercise, you have to get early diagnosis, and you must learn how to chill out, rest, keeps that stress down, and stay sober.
Stay sober.
All right.
What the statistics across the country are showing with female veterans is there really isn't a lot available for female veterans, not as much as there are for men. Transitional housing, there's hardly any. I'm talking about out here in the world, I'm not talking about enclosed in the VA. Women tend to bounce around more than men. They're more transitional. I have another relationship with another veterans outreach program, which is in Missouri, which is called Encouragement House. And Director King, she deals with a lot of veterans in that area, and that's what they're finding too in Missouri. The female veterans, they move around. They don't stay like men do. They bounce. They go from place to place. So it's kind of hard to track them down and get them what they really need. And like you just said, a lot of female veterans that I run in contact with have been sexually assaulted.
A
lot of them have sexual trauma. They have just so many issues that are different from a man, and they handle things different from a man. But as far as what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to work on some program for females. I'm working on getting a transition house together now. I do have, I've had veterans in the house that I do have. I'm working on my 1023. I filed that under 2nd Cavalry Veterans Community. And I've also developed a behavior transformation program, which I have been successful in using to help change people's thinking, their perceptions, because that's what I had to do. I'm telling you, I was so terrible, it didn't make any sense. If you'd have met me 4 years ago, you wouldn't believe that I'm the same person that's sitting here today. I've been to penitentiary 4 times. I got over 15 arrests, and that's all across the country. That's not just in Virginia. I'm from Ohio. I'm from Cleveland originally.
So you went into a program that helped you
Well, it's several programs and several techniques that I developed, and I wrote a program. What finally ended up happening to me is I was one of those inmates. When Kane closed the prisons down, they took me out of penitentiary and they sent me to a regional jail. While I was in that regional jail, I wrote 2 federal lawsuits there. I've always been good with reading and writing and comprehending. I didn't lose my mind in spite of all of these things. God saved me, and I've been so blessed. And when I did that, I kept bucking. I went to the hole. I put myself in the hole, and I went on a hunger strike for 8 days. And while I was on that hunger strike, I had an epiphany. And when I came out that hole, I started writing things like you've never seen anybody write before. I wrote a behavior transformation program. I wrote a detox program. I started 2nd Cavalry Veterans Community. I got my EIN number while I was incarcerated. I did all my claims, and I did claims for other inmates while I was incarcerated. I wrote letters to the Wounded Warrior Program. I wrote letters to Paul Galante. I wrote letters to McDowell, and I've got letters back from him. People are like, well, why are you doing this? You're not going to get anything back. I said, it doesn't matter if they respond or not. I'm just letting them know that I exist, because that was the therapy that I used to get me where I had to go. Once I came to Richmond, I'm going to tell you another gentleman, for anybody out there who has a loved one who is incarcerated, have them contact Jim Temple. At the VA. You know Jim Temple?
Yeah, very well.
Jim Temple has been very instrumental in helping me get where I have to go. There was a good program that was here that accepted all kinds of veterans. I'm going to tell you one thing, a lot of people probably want to hear this, but there are a lot of veterans who are incarcerated who are sex offenders. and I have to deal with them too. And it's more difficult to deal with them. I can't look at the crime you committed. I have to look at the fact you're a veteran. That's why I'm very successful at what I do with the people that I work with, because we tend to look at what you did, but I'm not going to go over that. But they had programs that would accept all veterans, and they have shut some of these programs down, and that, you know, and it's unfortunate. But right now, what I'm working on is I just got a part-time position with the DOC, and I am their veterans advocate, me and a gentleman by the name of Terry Wiggins. And one of the first things I'm going to do is get the listing of all the transitional programs that are available under the DOC. And once I get that list, I'm going to go to them and I'm going to ask them, could they hold one bed available for veterans that are coming out? Because we got vets that are coming out. Yeah. But I have to have this information. With Jim Temple, he has all that information of what vet comes out, when they come out, what they qualify for, and what they don't. Once you understand what a person gets, it's easier to place them. Because to me, I do this because I care. I don't get near a nickel for what I do. I work a regular job at the Penny Lane Pub. I'm a cook. But I do this with my own money because I care.
That's good.
Nobody give me anything.
Yeah.
But people have been gracious to me, very gracious to me. I was allotted office space down here through the Department of Justice, at Department of Public Safety, that I go to every now and then. I don't go all the time. That's where I have my meetings. A lady that rents a house to me, she's a retired social worker. Her husband passed away at the VA. He was a Vietnam veteran. I met her daughter at the store, and she introduced me to her mother, and she allowed me to have her cottage house. There's a lot going on. There's a lot of people that want to help.
We're going to have to get you your own show. Okay.
There's a couple things. When you mention about housing, Secretary Sensinki, the Department of Veteran Affairs out of Washington, had said he wanted to eliminate homeless veterans in 5 years. 3 years have ticked off, so we down to 2 years. But one of the things, there's great housing stock in the hood. If we can identify these houses, work with the local government and the state government and hood to get some funding where we can train some of the veterans, get them certified in the construction trade. They can rehab their homes, and that way that would be a low cost. The other thing, coming back to the women, when they have been sexually traumatized, it's hard for them to talk about it. And as you know,
especially to a man.
That's right. And as you know, we brought women in, but I don't think we were totally prepared for them.
Absolutely.
Because when one complains, sometimes the men close ranks on them.
Oh, absolutely. And that's been the way it is for years, and it's not going to get better quick. Hello, caller. How you doing?
Yes, how y'all doing tonight?
Oh, we're fine and dandy.
Oh, great. I just wanted to ask a question. I used to be a social worker, and I came in contact with a lot of veterans, and I have some veteran friends. My question is what I'm seeing in some veterans, okay, that I think they're getting overly medicated, and when they've been on for a long time. I have one friend who's been on there like maybe 10 years on the medication. They take like 10 pills at one time, and also other things. And like, what I'm saying is, how do you talk to, or who, see you know how you are when you
don't be bashful, sweetheart. You can say it. Okay.
I'm trying.
Just bring it on out. Okay.
When you know how we are with a lot of people with doctors, you know, doctors are right all the time, you know, and whatever they give you, and they take it, and they take it. Even when this person had prostate cancer, they started taking some flaxseed oil, and it just, the prostate just kind of went so far down, they didn't even have to have an operation. But they still wanted to give him an operation. He had to. It's the only thing he fought for. But the point is, what I'm trying to say. What I'm trying to say is, they think they're okay.
Who thinks the veteran thinks that they're okay?
But you can tell there's something wrong, and you can tell that they're taking too many medications where you worry about them. I mean, anytime you tell someone something say you tell somebody last week something, and they completely forget the whole day, you know, and forget everything that you say, and you're not talking about an old person here.
Yeah, I hear
and
what
not
you're
only that, they did. It's not like they fought in Vietnam. They were there. In fact, they were. The person I'm talking about was a medic.
Well, that's you don't know what you just said, darling. If he was a medic in Vietnam, he's got a lot of problems.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I
but
do.
you can't
I do.
talk to them. You can't say, you know, they need help.
Well, see, one thing, a medic, he deal with basically every injured person in his company or the attachment that he is attached to.
Yeah.
The other thing, when we talk about meds, who know the body better than the individual and the doctor? The doctor can diagnose based on your conversation with him, but the thing is, you have to understand your body. I mentioned earlier, eating properly, exercising, dieting, keeping the stress off you. If you can do those things and learn how to relax, but know your body.
Now, they do that. I'm not saying that he doesn't eat right and everything, but when you're getting off on the high, okay,
They start eating
you're
the pills.
addicted.
Yeah.
You're addicted, okay?
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. You're getting off on the high.
Now, is this person someone
I'm sorry, they
that?
don't live here right. They don't live in Virginia now. They live in Michigan.
Okay, I was going to say the best thing that you could do for that vet and anybody else that has a veteran around them that is in that same circumstance would be to get them to go in and talk to somebody. That's what this whole thing is all about. You need to be able to talk to somebody.
Yeah.
And you can't, vets don't have the comfort level to talk to non-vets, okay? Especially
I've tried that.
well, and see, he doesn't even want you to know that there's something wrong with him.
Right.
Okay, so that's it. That's a pretty hard road that you're on there. But
Yeah.
organizations, the VA and everything does have programs for that also. And that's the point that we're trying to make here for everybody that's looking. Whatever problem you might have, it can be solved. I'm going to have to go, because we have some more calls coming. But thank you so much, okay?
All right, bye-bye.
I'll get up. Okay, we're going to be winding down in a few minutes. So if you got points you want to make, great. I got one more guest I'm going to have to bring on in a minute. Okay, he's opening up the phone lines for some more calls, but this has been good. Now, how do people get in touch with you? What do you, when you say reentry specialist, we didn't really get in that well. Here we go with the phone again. Okay, hello, caller.
How you doing?
I'm good. How you doing?
I'm doing all right. Look, I was just channel surfing as I do from time to time, and saw this program on vets, and being a vet myself, as well as having some level of activism with what's going on in D.C. as they respond to vets. Let me just make one point here, and then I'll get on to what I was, the heart of what I'm going to say.
You don't know how to feed, man.
This country has been abusing its vets since the very beginning.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm a student of history, and right after the Revolutionary War, promises vets were made, they got this then. They didn't get this so much after the Civil War, but after the First World War, promises were made to vets. They were going to get this payoff back around the 20s, and they were supposed to be, within the Depression, around the time of the Depression, there was a little bit of in the post World War I era, there was a depression in the immediate years after that, simply because of the reductions in manufacturing of armaments and all that kind of thing. Well, matter of fact, the funny thing about it, they had a shanty town in D.C. of vets. They sent George Patton as a colonel in to break that up. Well, so we moved through time, and we still got the same.
I'm gonna ask you to capsulize there, brother, because we are on a time limit here. Okay.
Okay. All right. Well, let me just say this. One thing vets need to do is organize and take a lesson from other political activist organizations and organize and direct their attention in their elected officials and let them know that they're going to make them pay a price if they don't pay attention to the issues. Now, one thing that happened recently, they finally put some money in the kitty for retraining of those of us who in that Montgomery GI Bill ran out before we were able to take advantage of it. And that the BRAP program, you go online and sign up for that now. But the problem is, as far as I can tell, it's terribly underfunded.
Oh, yeah.
So they're only allowing something like 45,000 in for this fiscal year and another 55,000 for the following fiscal year. For those, you know, and look, we're in a little bit of a recession now, so people out of jobs, especially the old guys like us, we need to go back to school, get retrained so we can start making some money. The only way you can get these people to start fully funding these programs is some political organization and activism on the part of, and I mean not just on the state level, I mean on the federal level.
I got you covered, bro. We're working on that. That's one of the things that's in the play now for education. But I'm gonna have to go. I appreciate you checking us out. Okay.
Right. Okay.
Thank you. All right. You got something on education? All right. Then we're gonna wind it down.
Yes, on education, you can go to vocational rehab. And if you are a disabled veteran with 100% unemployable, total and permanent, if you have kids, they can go to any state-supported school.
He getting ready to answer the question I get ready to ask.
Oh, well, good enough then. Okay, yeah.
And if you have a wife,
that's how I went to college.
Okay, there you go. So,
all right, man.
Thank you.
All right.
That's good.
Well, I'm gonna add on to this. See, it's a lot of veterans don't take advantage of the programs that are available.
That's what
these programs are popping up like you ain't never seen before. I'm telling you, I turn on my computer and I have 28 emails from you name it, with all veterans issues of what's becoming available. The thing is to get that resource out there. Well, what I do as far as with incarcerated veterans, I make sure that they have the resources available to them before they get out. I make sure that they sign up for these things before they get out. So when they walk out that door, guess what? They know exactly where to go. They know exactly where to go and what to do. And that is part of the reentry process. Because while you're incarcerated, you do have the time to sit down and do your paperwork to get things done. When you're out here in the world, life moves fast every day. You know, now that I'm free, I do so many things. I'm distracted by this, I'm distracted by that. But when you're incarcerated, if you have that resource, and like I said, and like that gentleman said, what the veterans need to do, and if he would have been listening to earlier, I said that the veterans who are incarcerated, these guys are men and women. When I say men, when I say veterans, I mean men and women. They are banding together and creating their own communities inside of these institutions and helping each other get their benefits.
Yeah.
Because how can we transition that energy, synergy, connection to the outside? Because when a veteran person come out of the system, they need housing, they need food, they need a job, they need transportation, then they need to deal with their mental stability. They need to go and get a good medical checkup.
Well, let me just say this because of the time element. First of all, I want to thank all of you for the input and the coming out. Okay, my regular run on this illustrious station will start August the 10th, and it's going to be on every week for 6 weeks. And one of those 6 weeks, I'd like to get this group back to see if we were able to make any other changes. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And if I could just add one quick
please
note,
do.
I just want to, we did focus on veterans. My group is not specifically geared towards veterans, just felons, people that are incarcerated, period.
Yeah, well, I'm with that.
Veteran,
I work with that also.
And female.
As we say, our returning citizens.
Our returning
citizens.
That's right.
Let's
Our
get
returning citizens.
I might add, Ed, all you veterans out there that's not being proactive, toward these benefits and these claims, go out there and use your best tool. That's a network with other vets, if necessary. If you can't do it with a non-vet, go get a network with a vet.
Okay. All right, gentlemen.
One thing I like to say, my number is there, VHV, Veterans Helping Veteran, 914-2033. If I can be a help to you, call me. 914-2033.
All right, you want to leave it?
Sure, my number is out there also. Of course, area code 804-304-2333. 1282.
Okay. You wanna give
My
me
number is 2nd Calvary Veterans Community. My name is Joseph Wilson. You can call me at area code 804-247-8180. Anytime, day or night, send me a text, send me an email, a carrier pigeon, a paper airplane, come down to Penny Lane Pub, go to the DOC. You can find me.
You can find us, right? And you know where to find me. So look, I'm gonna let these gentlemen go. I do have my sensei, if he's still out there. I always want to let him come in and say something with this anti-bullying. You guys, thank you very much. Okay, we're gonna strip the mics from you, and you walk out. But we'll talk in a minute. We'll only be another couple of minutes. All right. Viewers, we thank you for calling in and paying attention to this. Let me, Akil, is my sensei still out there? Yeah, okay, you can let him know you can come in too, okay? Just give us a minute while we change up here, but there's gonna be, I hope this has brought out some insight. You know, folks are thinking now that they have heard these comments, there's so much that is available that we're not taking advantage of. We're actually cheating ourselves. So wives that are looking, their husbands are just coming back from Iraq or wherever, push them, take them, come on, let's go have lunch at McGuire. That's right. Right? And then while you're there, ease on around to the back to where the Veterans Associations are and let one of these groups help you out. The Purple Heart Association helped me, 199%, and I'm so thankful to them. I'm a member of the Disabled Veterans Association, the American Legion, and the VFW. Any one of these organizations will give you the juice that you need to cut through the red tape. Okay? Make sense?
Makes sense.
All right, guys. Good enough. All right. Well, we'll talk in a few minutes. All right. So while we're changing up, I always try every week to bring another point up. And right now, with my Victims' Rights Foundation, I'm working with my sensei, karate, teaching some of these youngsters how to deal with bullies and bullying, and we're teaching some of the bullies how to stop bullying. So this is my sensei. Sensei means teacher. He's actually Shihan, which means master. I carry the title of sensei myself, and he's going to come in and we're just going to kick it a few minutes about some of the little things that the youngsters can do to kind of help make their life a little bit easier also. But I do appreciate the phone calls, and if you do have any other questions or want to follow up on any of the stuff that you've heard, you can feel free to call me at any time. Okay, Sensei's coming on now. We're going to sit down, get him buttoned up. We'll talk for a few minutes here. Greetings. I keep them going. But this has been good, and there needs to be more of this. And as I said, when I start my regular run again in August, we're going to have another Veterans Forum. And we're also going to have, on the 6th, June the 6th, we're going to have a program on health, particularly for African American males. And I'd like you to put that note in your calendars now to be sure to tune into that. It's going to be on the same time, same station. And we have a very, very qualified doctor that's going to sit down with us and explain a few things about health. Very important. Dr. Covington is going to be the guest, and I'm going to be the MC. Now I'm going to greet my sensei, my Shihan Fox. Us. Good to see you, brother. Okay, now I've been talking about this anti-bullying, and we've been talking about this anti-bullying, and we're getting movement on it. A lot of these places are calling you back in to get some things started up.
Right.
What do you want to add to that?
I think it's necessary that we do everything that we can to eliminate this bullying. The kids are our future.
Without a doubt.
And we need to encourage them to do everything that they can to be successful. We need to do everything we can to stop belittling, undermining the youth. Okay. As you know, at my dojo, we go with the philosophy, learn to fight, not to fight.
Right. Learn to fight, not to fight, and it works. there's so many youngsters nowadays, and I don't know if this is new or not, it's probably been since the beginning of time, but there's a lot of low self-esteem that's out there. And there's a lot of, the media has gotten these kids so convinced that they're supposed to act a certain way, and that's where you're seeing a lot of this bullying. It's become so extreme. And the poor kids, the bullies themselves, and the kids that are being bullied want help. That's what we see in the dojo.
That's what we see in the dojo. And what I've learned, and this is my philosophy, I found that a lot of kids, a lot of the youth want strong guidance.
My wife says that constantly.
I tell my son about it all the time. He cannot be his kid's friend. He has to be a father.
Father to him, right.
I laughed today in class. I had one young man that was in class, and what he was doing, he was just doing everything else. And Sensei Jones, was talking with him, and for a little while, he would sit down, and then Sensei Jones would say something else to him, and he'd sit there for a few minutes. I looked over, I said, "Come here." I said, "Sit down." I had him sit down beside me. The rest of the class didn't move.
Authority.
That's what they want.
Well, I think the family aspect of the dojo has a lot to do with the balance, because a lot of these kids don't get that family feeling at home. That's where the gangs come in. They
Right.
want to join the gang. They want to be a part of. Being a part of a dojo. Now, again, we can't sit down here and say that Henrico Dojo is the best dojo in town, although we'd like to say that. But it's about getting the youngsters involved in something. And with the lack of after-school programs here in Richmond and across the United States, the team concept is gone. So this is one way to bring that team concept, that family concept back, where you give the feeling and the training to be part of a group.
Right. And that's what we want them to do. We want to be part of a group, but we want them to be part of a positive group. Not a negative group, but a positive group.
Well, let's brag a little bit. Let's tell them about what's happening with our kids. We have how many winners last week, and then we go to the Junior Olympic trials. And
last week we had, for the state, AAU state championships, we carried 18 participants. We came back with 27 medals. The following week, we went to Hampton for the U.S. NKF Karate Federation state championships, and we came back with 5. We're getting ready to go to the AAU regionals Saturday at Highland Springs High School, and we're gonna bring something back.
There it is. Okay.
Okay.
All right.
I tell the kids, as long as I keep the bar up high, they will come up to the bar.
Yeah, they do. That's
and
amazing.
that's what makes it exciting.
And to see the changes in them from when they come in and go on. Okay, folks, so, I like to continue this conversation because this is my buddy and also my sensei, and I grew up in martial arts, and I think that it is a very, very powerful builder for character and et cetera, okay? Now, I do have a couple other things I want to let you know about. Got 5 minutes? Okay. Yeah, I'm not paying attention to that. Okay. For those of you, here's the fun part, okay? You know that my wife and I do Tropical Beat television. Well, Tropical Beat is back on the air here in Richmond. We're on at 6 o'clock in the morning on Saturday mornings and 3 o'clock Sunday morning. When you come in from your party, turn on the CW and catch some of the new Tropical Beat shows that are out. In fact, if you're hanging out around June the 3rd and you want to come on down to Addis Ethiopian restaurant, come on down and hang out with us for a little bit from 7 to 11. We're just going to have a nice Sunday evening buffet and that kind of thing. All right, that's that one thing. Also, in dealing with organizations, you heard us talk about the VA and the veterans groups that are starting up, there are a lot of organizations forming right here in the Richmond area to work with youngsters, just like Sensei and I were just talking about. Ours is dealing with martial arts, but we have another institute called Training Tomorrow's Youth, Transforming Tomorrow's Youth. And it's a mentorship program where you go and if you want to go to a college, you need some help with mentorships. If you want someone to help you with your studies, if you need to be a lawyer, you want to be a lawyer, we'll hook you up with a lawyer so he can train you, help you get into college, that kind of thing. So there's a lot of these things that are coming up. So please put on your calendars again, August the 10th. That's when I start up my next series. I'll be doing 6 weeks, and each week will be about another one of these organizations, plus another follow-up on the veterans thing. Any calls you want to make them real quick. We're getting ready to cut down in a few. Sensei can be located, or you can contact Sensei Fox. Give me your number.
804-356-0565.
One more time.
804-356-0565.
Okay. And me, you have 804-261-2331. I'm going to grab this last call. Hello, caller. Thanks for calling. Hello?
Yes, sir.
How you doing?
Yes, sir. How you doing?
Okay.
Yes. This is a good thing, that you guys are doing, especially when you're talking about the youth. I'm a painter contractor, and I work in, some of the young guys, they, walk past me and ask me, can they help, and you can see the sincerity, in these young guys. They really want to do something. We need to be a good example for them and do something, because you can see them, And I get them to help me from time to time. And then some people say, don't trust no young guys. He's working for you and this and that. But they really need something to do.
Let me tell you something about that, and I'm glad that you called up and brought it up. We have found out that most of these young men are looking for father images. There's something that they have never had. And if you're in that position where you can help a young man or young woman for that matter, and offer that mentorship as well as training them to do something that's going to help them later on, I think you're to be commended. So I want to thank you. We're down to our last minute, caller. As I said before, tune in on June the 6th. All of you out there that are looking, let your friends know we're going to have a real strong program on health issues for African American males. And also, August the 10th, we'll start our next 6-week rotation for Conversations with Ed. Thank you for calling, okay?
All right, thanks for listening.
Okay. And all of you out there, we appreciate you tuning in. I hope you made notes. And if you do have other questions, particularly pertaining to veterans issues, feel free to call me, 804-687-2064. 804-687-2064. You see my home number on the screen up there. Thanks a lot for tuning in.